a waste collection scheme by the Ekurhuleni Municipality meant to empower its poorest residents has been found to have ripped off its supposed beneficiaries. A forensic audit has found that many companies, or mentor companies as they were known, had overpaid themselves by a staggering 7.6 million rand and shortchanged waste collectors by almost 3 million rand. Amabhungane investigative journalist Tabelo Timse joins us for more on the story. The Ekurhuleni Municipality, in fact, declining to take part in this conversation. Tabelo, thanks very much indeed for your time. And this was an investigation on your part that spanned a couple of years. It's really just heartbreaking in the kind of detail around something that was meant to empower waste collectors in that part of the country, and the supposed mentors taking more of the money for themselves.
Good morning, Michelle. Indeed, it is heartbreaking. When I started to looking at this issue, I had no idea that, the people that were meant to be empowered would be so disadvantaged. When I first reported on this issue, I had no idea actually how much the development contractors or the community entrepreneurs were being shortchanged. Sure. It's only when I received this forensic report that I actually saw how much they were being shortchanged. And at that time, when this report was being done, it was 18 months into the contract. So we don't know how much the development, the community contractors have been shortchanged, because the contract was for 5 years, and at that time it was only 18 months. Yeah. So it continued. Yeah.
Let's just take a step back for now and take us back to 2016. That was when this scheme was first introduced. As you say, it was a 5-year scheme, so it was meant to run until June of this year. Just take us through what the aim was when the scheme was first introduced in 2016.
The scheme was to empower community-based contractors. So these are the people that were recognized in the communities that are interested in the solid waste management space. So the municipality came up with this scheme to say, let's empower these people, let's empower these businesses by making sure that they are well trained, they know how to run businesses, and when the contract is finished, they can actually have a foot, in the door in terms of the industry itself. Mm. So the objective was to make sure that they have enough money after the 5 years, so that they could invest in other equipment. They were supposed to have equipment, so they were supposed to have like 2 trucks each. Mm. They were supposed to be trained how to run a business and all of that. So by the time they finished with this contract, they are well on their way to be an independent contractor that will also bid for other contracts. Yeah. Or to go to the private sector.
Yeah. Well, the question now, I suppose, given the investigation that you've done, is, as you say, at the start of the scheme, you're saying that they came up with this scheme to empower these community contractors. I suppose the question you're now asking yourself is, did they come up with the scheme to empower these contractors, or did they come up with the scheme for the purposes of looting?
When you look at the evidence, it is clear that the people that were empowered, it was the development contractors, not the community-based contractors. It is very clear, because the intention, as specified in the tender documents and in the functionality of the tender, it didn't go to the community-based contractors. The community-based contractors, we must remember, they did the work. They were the ones who did the refuse collection. Mm. They were the ones who made sure that our streets are cleaned. They dealt with the litter pickers. They did the rubbish collection. The mentor was supposed to just sort of like manage them, to say, okay, I will invoice on your behalf, and this is how you run a business. Right. And they made more money than the people that were doing the work.
So these development contractors, as you say, these mentors, they are established refuse removal companies, right?
Yes. Well, according to the, to companies, but when you look at them, some of them were not as that established, especially in the waste management space.
So how were they appointed? How were they appointed to this mentor sort of position?
Well, they submitted bids. They submitted bids, and they went through the tender appointment process. And I'm not sure exactly what qualified them to say that they are, that they are established or they are in a position to mentor up and coming, because they themselves, some of them are up and coming businesses.
So let's break down how it was meant to work month by month, Tabelo. So the development contractors, these refuse removal companies, they were meant to pay the community-based contractors a 31,000 Rand stipend every month and retain some of the money for reinvestment. So of that 31,000, are you able to tell us how much actually made it to the community-based contractors?
Well, in some cases, okay, so we must remember we're dealing with 5 development contractors here. So another thing that I wanted to raise was that each of the development contractors had a contract with community-based contractors, a separate contract. So the tender document was very clear that the community-based contractors were supposed to be paid 31,000. But I found in some of the development contractors, they didn't pay them the 31,000. They paid them the 21,000. I don't know what happened to the other money. And then they were supposed to retain some of the profits and invest them for the community-based contractors, so that, at the end of the contract, they have like a lump sum. And then I found that in some of the development contractors, that did not happen at all. And some of the development contractors, when now the contract is over and the CBCs are expecting like a lump sum, and then they got maybe like 100,000 or 200,000 over a 5-year period.